In the early 1400s, China commanded the largest and most advanced naval fleet on Earth. So why didn't they discover and colonize the world before Europe? With massive ships, cutting-edge navigation, and vast resources, China seemed destined to dominate the seas. European powers were still centuries behind. So why wasn't it the Chinese flag flying in the Americas or around Africa? Because just as China stood on the edge of a global empire, it made a shocking decision. It turned inward, burned its fleet, and left the age of exploration to others. But what if that never happened? What if the Chinese discovered the Americas or circumnavigated Africa before Europeans did? What would our world look like today if China had colonized the world first? The historical foundation. We got here. 1405 to 1433. The mighty Ming Dynasty was at the peak of its power. The Yongle Emperor was determined to make his empire even greater, so he assembled the largest naval fleet in history. Under the command of famed Admiral Zheng He, 7 epic voyages were launched across the Indian Ocean to the lands beyond China. Now these treasure fleets consisted of hundreds of ships, some 5 times larger than those of Columbus. The sheer size of China's navy is mind-boggling. Consider this. In 1421, when Zheng He's fleet anchored in the port of Calicut, his armada outnumbered the entire British Royal Navy at the Battle of Trafalgar by 3-1. Zheng He's voyages were legendary. His ships carried over 50,000 men, including diplomats, merchants, scholars, and even convicted criminals, exiled to faraway lands. These expeditions were about diplomacy and tribute, not conquest. Zheng He's mission was to extend the empire's influence and gather riches, not to subjugate foreign lands. It's important to note that, despite their immense size and power, the Chinese encounters with other cultures were marked by respect and cultural exchange rather than military aggression. Zheng He's interactions with African, Arab, and Southeast Asian rulers were often characterized by mutual admiration and the establishment of diplomatic relations. For instance, when he visited the Malacca Sultanate, Zheng He was received with great honor by the Sultan, and the two exchanged gifts and established friendly ties. Similarly, during his travels in India, Zheng He was invited to the court of the Delhi Sultan and was treated with respect and hospitality. By the end of his voyages, Zheng He's fleets had reached Southeast Asia, India, the Middle East, and possibly East Africa, covering an estimated distance of nearly 40,000 kilometers. The Chinese presence in these regions left a lasting impression, showcasing the power and sophistication of the Ming Dynasty.
The sudden shutdown.
Despite the success of Zheng He's voyages, the maritime expeditions came to a sudden halt after the Yongle Emperor Yi's death in 1424. The new emperor, Zheng, was disinterested in exploration. Confucian scholars and political elites viewed the expeditions as a waste of resources and manpower, believing that the riches brought back from abroad were not worth the expense. The focus shifted to agriculture and internal development, and the once mighty treasure fleets were seen as a drain on the empire's resources. By 1433, all maritime expeditions were banned. Ships were destroyed, naval records were erased, and China retreated into isolation, just as European powers began their age of discovery. Meanwhile, in Europe, over 6 decades passed between Zheng He's final voyage and Christopher Columbus's arrival in the Americas in 1492. During this time, profound changes were taking place that would shape the course of world history. The late 15th and 16th centuries witnessed a surge of exploration and conquest by European powers, marking a significant shift in global dynamics. This period, known as the Age of Discovery, saw European explorers venturing into uncharted territories, driven by a desire for wealth, power, and the spread of Christianity. One of the most notable explorers of this era was Christopher Columbus, an Italian navigator who, with the support of Spanish monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella, embarked on a journey across the Atlantic Ocean in 1492. Columbus's goal was to find a direct sea route to Asia, but he ended up landing in the Americas. This momentous event marked the beginning of sustained European contact with the New World and opened up vast opportunities for exploration and colonization. As European powers established colonies in the Americas and began trading with Asian markets, they inadvertently triggered a profound transformation in global dynamics. The discovery of the Americas led to the widespread colonization of the New World by European powers such as Spain and Portugal. These colonies served as hubs for the extraction of resources, including gold, silver, and agricultural products, which fueled the growth of European economies. Furthermore, the establishment of trading posts in Asia facilitated the exchange of goods between the Eastern and Western hemispheres, giving rise to new trade routes and economic opportunities. The Age of Discovery also witnessed significant advancements in navigation and shipbuilding. European nations invested in developing sophisticated instruments and techniques to aid exploration, such as improved maps, compasses, and astrolabes. These innovations allowed ships to venture farther and stay at sea for longer periods, expanding the known world and facilitating exploration. The Portuguese, renowned for their maritime prowess, established a global empire that stretched from Europe to Asia through a network of trading posts along the coast of Africa and the Indian Ocean. Vasco da Gama's historic voyage in 1498, which connected Europe and India directly by sea, was a pivotal moment in this expansion. The Portuguese dominance in the spice trade and their control over key shipping routes brought immense wealth and power to the nation. Similarly, the Spanish conquest of the Americas led to the extraction of vast quantities of gold and silver, which had a profound impact on European economies and contributed to the decline of indigenous populations through enslavement and disease. The modern context. What if Zheng He sailed on? Let us embark on a captivating journey through history and explore the profound impact of Zheng He, continuing his voyages beyond China's shores. Imagine with me that political shifts in the 15th century, China had taken a different turn. Instead of scaling back exploration, the Chinese emperors continued to invest in maritime expeditions. What would the world look like today if Zheng He's fleets had reached East Africa, Australia, or the Americas? Picture this in the bustling port of Mombasa in modern-day Kenya. In the year 1420, Zheng He's fleet arrives, marking the first contact between China and East Africa. The Chinese, with their advanced technology and exotic goods, establish a trading post, laying the foundation for a vast network that connects the two regions. Over time, this outpost evolves into a thriving colony, serving as a hub for the exchange of goods, ideas, and culture. The Chinese presence brings new architectural marvels, trade networks, and cultural influences to East Africa, forever altering its trajectory. Fast forward to the shores of Mexico or Brazil in the early 16th century. Here, Zheng He's fleet had discovered the Americas before European powers. The Chinese, with their superior shipbuilding skills and navigational techniques, establish a foothold in these lands. Their colonies become centers of commerce and cultural exchange, shaping the course of the Americas. The Chinese influence in the New World could have led to the introduction of new crops, technologies, and trade networks profoundly impacting the development of local civilizations. Now let's consider the cultural and political ramifications of such encounters. As Chinese traders and diplomats journey to foreign lands, they carry with them the teachings and traditions of their homeland. The spread of Confucianism, Taoism, or Buddhism could have profoundly impacted local religions and belief systems. The introduction of the Mandarin language and Chinese customs would have enriched the cultural landscape, fostering intercultural exchange and understanding. Furthermore, the Chinese presence might have influenced political dynamics, establishing diplomatic ties and trade agreements that would have shaped international relations. However, the implications of China's early contact with the rest of the world go even deeper. Without the vast wealth extracted from the Americas by European powers and the enslavement of Africans, the global balance of power would have remained centered in Beijing. China's vast population and territorial expanse might have ensured that it retained its position as a dominant global power without the need for overseas colonization. Well, let's ponder the profound question. Would the world be more advanced if China had colonized it first? Would the emphasis on hierarchy and harmony have led to less conflict? Or would the strict imperial control have stifled innovation and individual freedoms? Perhaps a Chinese-dominated world would have prioritized collective well-being over competition and embraced alternative systems of governance like democracy. The conclusion. Had China continued its maritime expansion, the world mapped in its cultures could look completely different. But political decisions, not technological limits, kept China from building a global empire. Sometimes the course of history turns not on what a nation can do, but what it chooses not to do. So I ask you, What would your country look like today if China had colonized the world first? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy exploring history's biggest what-ifs, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for joining us on this thought-provoking journey through history. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more captivating historical tales.